We are honored to have a panel of accomplished CEOs, founders, co-founders, entrepreneurs, industry leaders, startup mentors, and academicians as our guest speakers today. By the end of this conference, we hope you will all have gained valuable insights into this crucial.
Hello everyone, I'm Anjali Singh, the Head of Strategic Partnerships at SK Associates Group, and it's my pleasure to co-host this conference with Shravan.
Sure. Thank you, Anjali, for the greetings. So, moving on ahead, before we delve into our topic for today, let me briefly introduce SK Associates Group. We are an ISO certified management consulting firm registered under MSMED Act 2006 with the Government of India. Our mission is to provide consulting services to student entrepreneurs globally, covering areas such as compliance, operations, marketing, research and development, human capital, strategy, and operations. Our passion lies in helping these budding entrepreneurs bring their dreams to life and contribute to the global economic growth.
At SK Associates Group, we take pride in offering tailor-made solutions to our clients. Our team of transformational consultants has a deep-rooted passion for entrepreneurship, and they bring extensive experience and expertise to every project. Over the past 3 years, we have built a network of 5,000 individuals from 30 plus countries representing diverse universities, industries, and functional roles.
Our ultimate goal is to assist 600 million student entrepreneurs providing pro bono consulting services in areas such as strategy, operations, human capital, compliance, legal advisory, research and development, taxation, and marketing. We also plan to invest 500 crores USD in the startups by 2035, creating more than 5,000 plus employment opportunities for startup experts, advisors, mentors, and research scholars. Our vision is to contribute to global economic growth by empowering the next generation of iconic organizations.
Collaboration and strategic alliances are key to achieving our mission. We are committed to promoting entrepreneurship, development, and community impact with a focus on empowering students with global economic growth. Our aim is to partner with over 1,000 plus universities and colleges by 2030, providing guidance and mentorship to students as they embark on their startup journeys.
The enthusiasm and interest we see among students for entrepreneurship is truly inspiring. Startups have the potential to address critical social, economical, and geopolitical challenges through innovative business models. By promoting sustainable entrepreneurship, we can drive positive change and create a brighter future for all. Entrepreneurs not only generate job opportunities but also stimulate economic growth by offering innovative solutions to consumer needs and foster collaborations with other businesses. We have witnessed a remarkable success from most of our clients, where entrepreneurs have tackled issues like climate change, waste management, education, and many more.
Absolutely. Entrepreneurship is a catalyst for change and innovation. It's a powerful force that can reshape industries, transform lives, and make the world a better place. We are committed to supporting student entrepreneurs in their journey, equipping them with the tools, knowledge, and networks they need to succeed.
At SK Associates and Group, we are immensely grateful for the dedicated support of our executive management team, including Ms. Aditi Jain, Ms. Vaishali Shri, Ms. Anjali Singh, and Ms. Srishti Singh. Their unwavering commitment has played a pivotal role in our growth and development. Thanks to their dedication, we can make a meaningful impact on the startup ecosystem. And obviously, we have inspired, educated, and mentored multiple young individuals, encouraging them to pursue entrepreneurship instead of average corporate career.
Now, before we dive into our discussions, let's take a moment to introduce our esteemed line of guest speakers and tap into the wealth of wisdom they bring to the table.
Surely, Anjali. Our first speaker for today is none other than Mr. Roy Ozen. With an impressive track record spanning over 40 years of executive leadership, his remarkable journey has left an inedible mark. As a former president and CMO, Mr. Roy's exceptional leadership propelled a prominent data and internet company to outstanding success. Beyond his influential corporate roles, he is also the visionary author behind the groundbreaking book series titled Be Different or Be There. The series showcases his audacious insights, offering a roadmap achieving unparalleled business excellence. The impact of Mr. Roy's audacious, unheard of ways extends far beyond the realm of businesses, inspiring countless professionals worldwide. as the charismatic host of the widely popular podcast, Audacious Moves to a Billion. He continues to share his practical wisdom and innovative strategies, mentoring and empowering the next generation of leaders.
Our second speaker of the day is Mr. Samuel Sudhakar. With over 33 years of professional consulting experience, he is a seasoned business management growth consultant and a trusted advisor to entrepreneurs and startups. His journey, marked by successful stints across diverse industry domains, reflects his commitment to driving business growth and transformation. As the founder and CEO of SMEconsultants.in and the director of Growth Hacking Partners, Mr. Samuel has impacted the growth of over 200 small and medium-sized businesses. His expertise in providing total business growth solutions and facilitating workshops in business productivity and digital marketing underscores his dedication to empowering business for success.
Next up, we have none other than Mr. Sagar Kalantri. With 17 plus years of exposure to the research industry, he brings a wealth of experience in project and people management. His passion for nurturing talent and bridging the gap between academia and corporate careers led to the inception of C2CC, Campus to Corporate Certification Proficiency, a groundbreaking initiative aimed at preparing fresh graduates for corporate success. Armed with credentials like PMP, CSM, LLSBB, and ISO 9001-2015 lead auditor, Mr. Sagar's expertise and commitment to excellence have earned him recognition as a trusted advisor and industry speaker. His mission to provide innovative solutions and empower stakeholders underscores his dedication to driving positive change in the professional landscape.
Our final speaker is Ms. Raji Iyer. With over 17 years of experience in spearheading strategic initiatives for organizational growth, Ms. Raji is a visionary leader and innovator in the digital landscape. Her proven track record in harnessing emerging technologies and fostering an innovation-driven culture reflects her strategic acumen and commitment to excellence. Her expertise in crafting visionary strategies, forging cross-functional collaborations, and delivering exceptional customer experiences has positioned her as a sought-after speaker and mentor in the industry. With a diverse educational background and a core proficiencies spanning strategy design, digital transformation, leadership, and talent development, she continues to inspire and empower professionals worldwide through her speaking engagements, mentorship programs, and innovative initiatives.
Welcome, everyone, and it's an honor to have you all with us. Your expertise adds a special dimension to our conference, making it a unique and insightful gathering. Now, before we begin this conference, we would like to request all of the attendees and our fellow speakers to kindly switch on their respective webcams throughout the conference. We would also like to inform you that our HR team will be conducting calls in the chat box throughout the event, and we encourage your active participation. Moving ahead, I would like to invite our first speaker for the day, Mr. Roy Ozing, to commence his speech.
Well, good morning in Vancouver, Canada, everyone. I was saying earlier I have not had my breakfast yet, so I may be a little bit cranky. So we'll see. we'll see how this goes. But I'm really eager to participate in this extremely important and extraordinary event. As was mentioned in the introduction, I'm an entrepreneur who really did have the good fortune to take a startup internet company to $1 billion in annual sales. And every time I think about that, to be honest with you, I get goosebumps because we didn't really start out with that as an objective. We started out with an objective to build something remarkable and wonderful that mattered to people, and it ended up at that level. So I'm extremely proud of the achievement that our team made. But let me begin my presentation with this sobering reality. According to current data, up to 90% of startups fail. Across most industries, the average failure rate for year one is 10%. However, in years 2 to 5, a staggering 70% of new businesses will fail. And that's the challenge, okay, for every entrepreneur on this conference, is to avoid that. My conclusion, quite frankly, is obviously entrepreneurs, most of them, are unable to cope with today's 5 business realities. Reality number 1, competition has never been more intense in every business sector, eager to destroy those less able to innovate to gain and hold a loyal base of customers. Reality number 2, uncertainty, unpredictability, and chaos inflict body blows on business success regularly like never before. And quite frankly, if you can't recover from an unexpected event, you're done. It's as simple as that. Forget about plan A, you're done. Reality number 3, customers have never, ever yielded more power in the market than they do today. They have never had so much choice and are quick to punish organizations that don't uniquely satisfy what they crave. And I'm going to use the word crave a few times today because satisfying what people need is no longer good enough. It's about moving beyond needs to cravings, and I'll come back to that later. Reality number 4 is that technology has never been more volatile as life cycles shrink and investments get stranded. And the other point I want to reinforce in the technology conversation is technology is not an end. It's a means to an end. And I see a lot of CEOs, startup CEOs, actually believe that the technology will make them successful. I have to tell you, I've never seen it. And we'll talk more about that. Reality number 5 is that regulations governing how organizations operate have never been more constraining and complex worldwide. So the environment is exceedingly complicated. And yet, in the face of these ruthless market dynamics, we must continue to find ways of creating value for people and delivering innovative solutions that they expect. You know, you can't give up because it's tough. People are expecting value, and we need to figure out a way to innovate and create and provide them what they expect. The problem is the entrepreneurial skills and competencies being taught and practiced these days fall short of what is needed. New ideas, creative solutions, breakthrough concepts, and original thought continue to die with regularity. Sobering indeed. So a revolutionary and breakaway approach, I believe, is dramatically needed, and the universities need to change their focus. I submit that the challenge for universities is not to foster entrepreneurs. It's to create audacious entrepreneurs. So what do I mean by an audacious entrepreneur? Well, quite frankly, they look different from their traditional cousins. The traditional entrepreneur is not the same person that I'm talking about when I refer to audacious, and I'm going to unfold that for you. They are driven more by what has proven to work in practice rather than what should work in theory. What has proven to work in practice as opposed to what should work in theory. They're in tune with the storm forces they face. They are equipped to deal with the vagaries of uncertainty, unpredictability, and the relentless speed of change. And they're driven by the very words that define what audacious means. All right? They're different. They're bold. They're daring. They're stunning. They're gutsy, fearless, courageous, extraordinary, unconventional, non-traditional, and yes, unpopular. Audacious entrepreneurs are definitely unpopular. How many universities, you guys, teach how to be an unpopular entrepreneur in a way that delights other people? I've never seen a course like that. And I have to tell you, from my experience, that's exactly what we need. So what does this audacious entrepreneur look like? Well, the way I'm looking at this is really the simple, practical moves that I personally made as a leader to take a data and internet company to $1 billion are instructive, quite frankly, in terms of defining the profile of the audacious entrepreneur. Because in the real harsh world, this profile led to jaw-dropping levels of performance. And at the end of the day, performance is the ultimate measure of the goodness of an entrepreneur. It's not the quality of thought. It's what you do with it. It's getting stuff done. Okay, so the way I've looked at this is we happen to have the opportunity to drive amazing performance in a business. And when I dissect what we did, I conclude that those things that we did, quite frankly, do compose what I call an audacious entrepreneur. I'm going to unfold a little bit of that for you as we go here. The audacious entrepreneur focuses on what has been stress tested in the real world to achieve remarkable performance, as opposed to merely what textbooks prescribe. One of my favorite expressions that I say to CEOs looking to start up a business is, can you just put the textbook down for a minute? Please, let's have a conversation about more than what's in the textbook. Because my experience is it ain't enough, guys. The textbook isn't enough. As a side note, my company achieved $1 billion by adopting some crazy ideas you will not find in a textbook, like killing dumb rules, cutting the crap, and hiring for goosebumps. Those kind of concepts, which turned out to be exceedingly effective, you simply won't find in any current entrepreneurial dogma. So let's do a few things this morning. Let's unpack the profile in more detail of the audacious entrepreneur. Let's develop a detailed job description. And my reason for doing this is to give you a little more clarity around what the role, of an audacious entrepreneur is, and that helps us understand the competencies and the capabilities that we need to create in people to deliver the kind of value that we're talking about. And then we're going to use the job description as a curriculum guide for what I'm going to call the Audacious Entrepreneur Studies Program. Because that's where I'm going to go with all of this, is we need to create a program in the educational system, you university people out there, built around the need to be audacious from an entrepreneurial perspective. Okay, so let's talk now about the job description. I'm going to outline probably 20 roles here for the audacious entrepreneur, and I'm going to get granular, and I'm going to drag you through it, because unless we understand those, we're not in any position really to create a curriculum to deliver the competencies to people. So what do these people do? Well, role number one, they start their journey to monetize their unconventional idea by having a strategy. Now, I call it my strategic game plan. It's a little bit different than pedantic traditional planning 101 because it builds a plan by answering 3 questions. 1, how big do you want to be? In 24 months, how much top-line revenue do you want? 5-year plans don't exist, guys. The 4th year never shows up, okay? We got to think short-term, because that focuses us to do what? Execute. And that's what's missing in most plans, right? You got these great big ideas, and unfortunately, they don't degenerate into what I call brave, accrued deeds, and you actually get stuff done. But one way of circumventing that is you build a plan based on 24 months. It forces you to pay attention to what goes on tomorrow and the day after, et cetera, et cetera. And you learn what the appropriate end game is by having a general idea of where you're going. Second question in the strategic game planning process is, who do you tend to serve? In other words, who are the key customer groups that have the latent potential to deliver the revenue growth you're looking for? Exceedingly important. This is not a world of mass markets. This is a world of selection, okay? Being really targeted in who you serve, and then taking a deep dive to find what they crave. And I'm going to come back to cravings later. I mentioned it already. Not about needs. It's all about what they crave, what they desire, what they covet, what they lust for, what they wish for, okay? Huge piece of work on the strategic game planning process. And the third question that is involved here is answering the question, how do you intend to compete and win? This is all about giving your potential customers a potential or a reason why they should choose you and nobody else. I'm going to unfold this a bit more for you too, because this is a major issue in business generally, and for sure in the startup world. All right, so role number one, get your strategy right. Don't do anything until you have this done and it's done right. Second role, these guys are different from other entrepreneurs. They seek bold, non-compliant ideas that are unique and satisfy, as I said, not what people need, but what they crave. Why? Interesting for you marketers out there, cravings is a great space to be in. Why? Because it's less price sensitive and there's fewer competitors. And isn't that the world that we want to be in? We don't want to be in commodity spaces, do we? No. Price sensitive and everybody's doing the same thing and there's no competitive advantage. You want to compete in a craving space, right? Where there's you, perhaps, and only you, and price isn't an issue. That starts by having this bold, audacious kind of outlook towards the marketing process. Role number 3, they look for unmatched ideas that serve others. They're not floggers. They don't flog products. They don't flog technology. Okay, so the audacious entrepreneur is a serving person, not a flogging person. This is a huge difference. Okay, like I see CEOs all the time want to push technology, and I go, no, stop. I want to understand how it serves what people crave. It's a key question that I think, because it isn't answered, gets captured in the 70% of startups that fail in years 2 through 5. Rule number 4 is their destiny is not to be better, not to be the best, not to be the leader. Their destiny is to be the only one that does what they do. The only one that does what they do. And they use my only statement to get there. All right? So your competitive advantage claim is we are the only ones who. We're not better, we're not best. Those are claptrap expressions, and unfortunately, to customers, they don't mean anything. And right, so when you think about what you're going to do with your new idea, you need to start thinking about how am I going to capture, the essence of my position by being the only one that does what I do. And if you can do that, I guarantee you will not be in the 70% that die in years 2 through 5. Rule number 5: these guys are hunters, always on the hunt for new brave idea. They don't go gargle Google every time they're facing a challenge and find out what other people do. They are on the hunt. Thank you for the smile, Nigel. We all know what gargling Google is all about. It's my expression for, you want to figure out what to do? Go look it up on Google. No, that's not what you do. You put Google down. Number 6, they're repulsed by the notion of being in a common herd. I mean, these people are driven to escape the crowd of average thinkers. They actually seek discomfort of standing on their own. And that's huge, right? Huge. They are naturally uncomfortable with being in a crowd of common thinkers, these people. And thank goodness for that. Number 7, they are creators. They don't copy. They don't seek to create, or they seek to create original, bold ideas. They don't benchmark. Go check out the 97,000 blogs I've written on benchmarking on BeDifferentOrBeDead.com. I can't stand it. It's the biggest barrier to successful innovation and creativity in the world, and yet everybody does it. What should we do about this? Let's go check out Best in Class. No, all it does is force you into being a copier. And you may do it quickly and be a fast follower, but you're still copying. Under the guise of innovation, you guys, that's intellectually dishonest. You cannot benchmark and claim that you're being creative. And these people don't do that. And they're disruptive. They're disruptors of current thinking. They introduce discontinuity into the traditional ways of doing things. They use their passion, really important part. They move their passion. They use their passion to move them forward. They know that moving their fearless idea to market requires more tenacity, perseverance, and brute force than intellectual righteousness. They are powered not by their intellect, but by their passion. And when I look at 2 CEOs starting out a business, I will put my money in the one that's got the passion about their idea, not the one that tells me the academic precision of their idea. Huge difference, right? They aren't interested solely in how their new idea solves the problem that people have. Key point. They seek a solution that is different from the ones that are being offered by other people. If their daring solution isn't different from others, they stop. They stop right there until they can make it incomparable. And this is where the world of differentiation is kind of all screwed up right now. Because people claim that they're providing, unique selling propositions, and they're not unique selling propositions. It's a statement of how you're going to solve a problem, but the piece that's missing is how is your solution different than everybody else's? That's the key thing that makes them unique. The audacious entrepreneur understands that, and they start out with that in mind. Number 11, they are super hyper-focused people. They don't do to-do lists. They don't do brainstorming. They mindlessly focus on the critical few things it takes to execute their unpopular invention in the market. They're supreme imperfectionists. They don't believe that anything is perfect. They covet any version of the truth that resonates with what people care about. And and solves their problem in a stunning way that no one else has ever thought of. And so they actually thrive in this whole notion of imperfection. Now you can understand how that resonates with the academic community, don't you? Like I'm an imperfect person. I seek imperfection. Oh, I'm sorry, Roy. You get a D because you didn't follow the formula. Well, okay, the algorithm isn't important. It's being imperfect in a world that...
Sorry to
Roy, you
interrupt.
are on mute. If you just unmute yourself, Roy.
We're unable to hear you. If you can just unmute yourself. You've accidentally muted yourself. We're still unable to hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay. So what rant was I on when I left?
11.
Okay, so where was I? Anyways, look at rule number 13 for these people. They execute first and they plan second. How many times have you heard that? They execute first, plan second. What do we mean by that? Well, we mean they actually dedicate about 20% of their time on getting their strategy just about right, and 80% on executing it, learning from execution, and tweaking the strategy on the run. All right, there's nothing solid. There's nothing sort of firm and concrete, okay, in this person's mind as they go about creating and executing a strategy. They want to create a strong emotional response from the target of their wondrous idea. Okay, a wondrous emotional response. They know that emotional responses typically trigger a crazy fan response, rich storytelling, and yes, business transactions. Look at this is huge. This is a huge part of being an entrepreneur. It's not about unleashing technology. It's how can you trigger emotions in people? Because people buy on emotions, right? They buy on feelings. You got to figure out a way how to create something that does that. Spur the imagination, all right? And thrust people into this kind of like escape world, because today's reality is really hard. And so entrepreneurs have a huge role to play in here. And unfortunately, guys, it's never getting taught. They are 180-degree actors, these people. They observe where the herd is going, and they ask themselves, what if I went in the opposite direction? Contrarians, indeed, these people are. And they initiate action only if their strategy gives them permission to do so. They don't chase tactics such as AI and other gee-whiz tools without understanding exactly how they will serve their strategy. This is a key issue that I find with most entrepreneurs. They start a business with an idea, then all of a sudden, and I call it yummy incoming, all of a sudden, all these other ideas come to them and they start chasing them. And unfortunately, these ideas aren't completely in line with their strategy. They burn cycles, they burn limited resources, and they die. They never even get off the pad because they're so busy chasing the art of possibilities as opposed to the critical few things they need to do to execute their strategy. And they're comfortable with the idea of getting things sort of right. Sort of right. Not perfectly right, sort of right. Rather than spending copious amounts of time trying to work out every last detail of what needs to be done. Trying stuff is their mantra. They understand that winning is not a function of figuring it all out up front, but rather learning what works and doesn't on the run, and letting those learnings be their guide to improve their big idea. They always say yes to potential customers. They want to deliver ostentatious solutions in a honest environment, where leaning into what customers desire and crave is the coveted behavior. It's not, this is the way it is. It's like, okay, what can I do to say yes to you? They use raving fans. This is a key point for entrepreneurs building a business. They use a raving fan to lead the implementation of their extraordinary idea. They find a raving fanatic for it. They ask them for their advice to make it work, and they engage them in sharing it with others. And the last final word that I would like to say about the role is around technology. There's too much focus on technology. I'm always asked on the 85 or 90 podcasts I've done,
But why should I do?
don't you think technology is the biggest driver of innovation? And I keep saying, hey, it's really important, but the problem is it's capturing 90% of the energy cycles out there. What's missing is what people crave and how you can actually harness technology to do that. Okay, so the audacious piece of this for me is all about understanding what the appropriate role is for technology. I'm certainly not saying that it's not important. It's vital, but it has its role. It should not be assuming in terms of whether or not you as an entrepreneur are going to succeed. So you have to look at it as a means to an end. And so listen, in summary, words that describe the new audacious entrepreneur after the 20 roles that I've just described are words like they serve others. They deliver what people care about. They want to be the only ones who do what they do. They deviate. They don't conform. They avoid crowd mentality. They reject trends. Trendline thinking is not something. They hate linear regression analyses. What they want to do is inject discontinuity in the trend line that's being projected. They don't believe in them. Why? Because the real world doesn't work on trend lines. They win the unpopularity contest every time. So if you want to have an unpopularity contest, you're going to find an audacious entrepreneur wins that prize every time. They create, they never copy. They disrupt, they don't follow. They hate trend lines, which I mentioned. They use passion over logic. They deliver incomparable solutions. They follow their strategy unequivocally. They don't chase yummy. They are hyper-focused on a few things. They love imperfection. They evoke emotion in people. Remember, people buy on feelings, how they feel about what you're doing. And so we need to figure out, we need to create a syringe where we can inject that into potential customers to make them feel good about what we're doing. They go against the flow always. They love imprecision. They execute first, plan second. I've written an ebook about that if you're interested. They get things just about right. They try a lot. They say yes to people. They follow the lead of their raving fans, and they use technology as a means to an end. So, in conclusion, and thank you for hanging in here with me, I appreciate it. In conclusion, my message to university leaders is really simple. You need to be different. You need to be audacious. You need to be brave. You're in a traditional industry, so you need to be brave. This is where I learned that pain indeed is a strategic concept. When I started moving down this whole journey of being different, if you can't handle pain, you can't do this stuff. And so university leaders, it's not going to be easy. You need to be brave, you need to be fearless, and yes, you need to be unpopular. Break away from the traditional ways of teaching how to be an entrepreneur. Because, folks, they're not working. This isn't a matter of advocating ideologies. What's out there right now is simply not working. I mean, what more motivation do you need to make change? You don't need any more. People are dying out there as entrepreneurs. We need to give them something that works, proven to work. So I want you to move away from the standard textbook way of thinking about entrepreneurship, because it isn't working. Move to an approach that is founded on what works in the real world and produces unheard of levels of performance. I want you to create, and I'm happy to help you with this, the Audacious Entrepreneur Studies Program. Equip entrepreneurs with the simple, practical and proven tools they will need to avoid being one of the 90% of startups who die. Be the only university that offers this new box thinking to budding innovators and break away from the education herd. Thanks very much, you guys. I appreciate you hanging in with me.
Thank you, Mr. Roy. That was a wonderful speech. We're running a little short time, so we won't take any questions from the audience.
ठीक है
But please do share your email address in the chat box, and if any of our audience has any questions or seeks further information, please don't hesitate to reach out to him. Now, moving ahead, let's welcome Mr. Samuel Sudhakar, and I request him to please commence his speech.
तो जो भी
Hello everyone, good evening and greetings. I compliment SK Associates and Group for selecting this particular topic, that is the role of universities in fostering entrepreneurship among students. And I want to, the reason that I want to compliment SK Associates and Group is because this topic is very relevant in the current times. Let me substantiate some points. I'm speaking from Bangalore, from India, and I would like to share some insights and data points from the Indian market. And I would like people to interact with me on a chat. I know the time is very short, 15 minutes. So when I ask a question, I'll wait for 10 or 15 seconds max. And either if you could help me to read the answers correctly, or I can't wait for a longer time. So I will go ahead and add on my points. So question number 1, do you know the number of graduates and postgraduates graduating in India every year? Any guess? Any answers? 10 seconds. 50K. Okay. Next, one more response before I go ahead. Okay, let me move on. No. The right answer is around 80 to 85 lakhs. The number of graduates, that's science and commerce graduates graduating in India every year is 50 lakhs. 15 lakhs engineers graduate in India every year, and 15 to 20 lakhs of postgraduates graduate in India. So around 80 to 85 lakhs the graduates are graduating in India every year. Let me ask you the second question. What's the number of percentage of these graduates who fail to get a placement, the job placements? One answer, 50%. Okay, let me move on. Thanks for participating. It's around 40% of the graduates who fail to get a job placement in India. And by the way, the remaining graduates who get the placement also, they're observed in the frontline jobs, the entry-level jobs. So if there is any market changes in the market, for example, recession, the first tax will come on to this entry-level graduates. You know, the markets are bouncing back after COVID, and still, in terms of they are just consolidating. The recruitment drives have not reached the pre-COVID levels, right? Here, the role of universities play an important role in sowing the seed of entrepreneur amongst the students, nurturing this entrepreneur seed, and helping them in transitioning their mindset from an employee mindset to an employer mindset. This university can play a very important role, a critical role in transitioning this mindset from an employee mindset to an employer mindset. And you know, more than 50% of the students in India, or more than 50% of Indians, are a very young generation. Can I know what is the average age of more than 50% of the population in India? A quick text message, please. 25. Very good. 25 is the right answer. So, in terms of more than 50% of the Indian population are young, less than 25 years. Do you know what's the average age of the student entrepreneur in India? Any guess? 24, 22, 23 years is the right answer. So the average age of a student entrepreneur in India is 23 years. By the way, do you know who's the youngest student entrepreneur in India? Youngest student entrepreneur in India. Any guess?
Youngest student entrepreneur.
Okay, as I mentioned,
According
I can't
to
make
JAB,
it very
Suresh,
interactive
India's
because
youngest
I have
web
a short span of time to deliver my talk. So it's Tilak Mehta who started this startup when he was 13 years old. He started his startup in 2019 when he was 13 years old. The startup is called, he was 8th standard student. He started Paper and Parcels, and today in 2024, his turnover is 100 crore company. So he is the youngest student startup in India. So in terms of, let me give you another case study. Two student engineers. This was in the year 2007. They were studying in a college in Karnataka, and now this is a university. They were assigned the task of starting and managing an entrepreneur club in their college. This was in the year 2007, and in the year 2008, entrepreneurial bug caught up with them. They started an entrepreneurial journey, and today it is one of the successful healthcare Indian startup, which is a global company. Can I get a quick? Can you guess which is the company that I'm sharing this as a case study? Quick answers, please. Okay, let me share. Go ahead with the sharing this case study. This was year 2007. College was NIT Surathkal. Now it's a deemed university. And the name of the student entrepreneurs were Shashank and Abhinav. They had they were, as I mentioned, they were tasked with running this entrepreneur club in the college. So their main job was to connect with the entrepreneurs, invite them for an entrepreneurial talk at their colleges. So, they continued this for 1 year. And as I mentioned, in 2008, when there was a medical emergency or a situation at Shashank's family, wherein his dad had to go through a knee surgery, and Shashank wanted to take a second opinion with the doctor in the US. So we went back to the doctor who was treating his dad and said that he wants to collect the medical records so that he can send it to the US doctor for taking a second opinion. But to his surprise, the Indian doctor who was treating his dad, he said, I'm not keeping any digital record. I do not have any medical record. So both Shashank as well as Abhinav started pondering about this in terms of the situation. And with the problem, they started looking at it in terms of what is the kind of opportunity this problem could provide to us. They started researching. When they started researching in terms of, they got to know that there's nobody in this domain, and they wanted to take this entrepreneurial plunge. They started in 2008, and they started with the services of providing billing services, appointment booking to the doctors, billing services, providing digital medical records to these doctors. And today, they are one of the successful Indian startups who have gone global in the healthcare services. So, friends, what is the key takeaway from this case study which I am sharing? If you look at the seed of entrepreneurship for Mr. Shashank and Abhinav was seeded in at their college or university, NIT Surathkal. So that substantiates my point. The universities can play a very important role in sowing the seed of entrepreneurship, nurturing the seed of entrepreneurship, providing the right kind of ecosystem. So I would urge the universities to include entrepreneurship development courses with a lot of practical insights alongside the normal MBA courses. What I mean, how do you incorporate this practical insight for these EDP courses? To incorporate the right, to instill the right entrepreneur skills in terms of problem solving, brainstorming, how do they incorporate or in terms of a practical insight? They could, of course, start a incubation club. They could run contests. They can have an idea contest. They could select the right idea. And for the help of setting up this incubation, they can, of course, take the help of the government. They are providing grants to set up entrepreneurship incubation clubs in the universities. And alongside, the universities can also get in touch with successful entrepreneurs, also connect with industrial associations, and bring in that ecosystem so that alongside they would help this aspiring student entrepreneurs to really look at in terms of trying to come out with the differentiator. As Mr. Roy was mentioning in the earlier part of the talk, today you need to be different. You need to think differently. How do you, in terms of how do you get that out? This can only with the ecosystem of academics, researchers, existing entrepreneurs, and and the industry can come together to validate this particular idea, nurture them, and give them the support so that they can go ahead and build a successful, from a student entrepreneur to a successful startup journey. So, friends, in I would also like to share in terms of which are the two universities which are developing or in terms of using this, adapting this particular strategy in helping to develop this ecosystem. One, I could think of Amity University. They have an entrepreneurship forum, Amity Entrepreneurship Forum. I think they have around 41 student startups, which comprises of the existing students and the student alumni. And one of the startup which I came across recently was a student startup called Technic, wherein they provide gamification courses for 5th to 10th students. So the other university that I came across was Stanford Graduate School of Business. They have more than 50 courses of entrepreneurship and innovation. My friends, please note that entrepreneurship and innovation. So they have around 50 courses, and they also have a startup garage. They also have a startup garage wherein they help the students not only to study about entrepreneurship courses, to test their ideas with startup garage. And the greatest differentiator which I found, wherein the faculty comprises of great researchers, existing entrepreneurs, and including investors. They spend a lot of time in nurturing this student entrepreneurship program. Through the startup garages, they will go through, these students have to go through in terms of a complete end to end, right from an idea germination,
क्रेडिट कार्ड का बिल
in
भरना है,
terms of
थोड़ा तो
selecting
कुछ
the
दे
right
दे
idea,
यार.
nurturing that idea. In fact, in terms of developing into prototypes
यार
and
वो
moving
सब
from an
चला
alpha
गया है
stage,
उसमें यार,
beta
बिल
stage
पेमेंट में.
to a commercial stage, testing with their target market, testing the pricing, testing the value add, and that's how you will
यार
graduate
एक
from
दो
a
हजार
student
तो कहीं से ला
entrepreneurship
के
to
दे
a
दे यार.
transition to a successful entrepreneurship. And even in India,
अबे तेरे को शादी
universities
जब
can
हेल्प
adapt
चाहिए होता है तो भीख
because
मांगने के लिए आ जाते हो.
the government is curating a lot of this student startup competition. So, as I mentioned, the university can adapt incubation,
वो
start
EMI
an incubation
तुमको क्या
facility
लगता है
with the
जब
government grant,
पहला
and
किया है
also
तो
train
पैसा नहीं मांगेगा पहला
students
इंस्टॉलमेंट.
in terms of pitching in for startup competition. And you know, when they win this competition,
तो
the
पहला
government
मैंने
is
पे
giving
कर दिया
grants
है, अब
to
दूसरा
work
जनरेट होगा नेक्स्ट मंथ.
on to convert your idea to a prototype. So the funding is given by the
प्लीज एक
government
दो
grants
हजार
so that
ज्यादा
you
नहीं.
could convert the idea into prototypes, and you can follow the same cycle. You can follow the prototypes can go through an alpha. You can define your target customer. You can do your research. You can go through the alpha test, collect the feedback from the customer, move to the beta stage, and move to the commercial stage where you can transition effectively from a student startup to a successful entrepreneur. So, I would like to summarize a couple of things. One, I've given you data in terms of the stats. I've given you data of how a case study where student engineers, they were bitten by the entrepreneur bug, and now how they have started a successful entrepreneur journey, and now they are very successful not only in India as a global healthcare company. Also gave you insights in terms of how a university can incorporate practical aspects of teaching entrepreneur development courses, and alongside develop a incubation lab wherein such that they could help the students giving practical insight, create that ecosystem of industry, create the system of budding on existing entrepreneurs, industry association, give them the kind of support to nurture and develop on their entrepreneurial dreams, and transition from a student startup to a successful startup. So any aspiring student startup entrepreneurs and university stakeholders, I think the takeaway is you can use this template and customize depending upon your region, depending upon your customers. But one thing is very, very sure. We need to instill, you need to instill a new startup wave in terms of where the startups can be differentiated, can be stand out on their own, because we can't have run-of-the-mill startups today. Because you see, the kind of investments that are coming in is dying out. If you really need investments for your startup, student startup, to transition to a successful startup journey, you need to be different. Of course, you could follow a couple of points where my earlier speaker Roy did mention about bringing in that audacity, bringing in that aspects in your product, in your service, in your attitude. And startup, we call startup entrepreneurs, startup is a journey. You need to be different, you need to have a right attitude, and you need to hang in there to get success. So I wish you guys a great success in transitioning from successful student startups to great successful startups in the startup world. Thank you so much. If I have any questions, I think I completed early. If I have one or two questions, then I can take it up.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Samble, for an amazing speech, and that was a very interesting case study. Do we have any questions for him? Anybody? Please write in the chat box or raise your hand. Do we have any questions?
आगे बढ़ो यार.
All right, no issues.
Thank you
please,
so much.
Okay, we have a question from Aditya. If you could just read it out, Mr. Samble.
No, it's Practo. Shashank and Abhinav started Practo. Aditya?
Yeah,
Practo is the
it's
case
Practo,
study.
Practo, yeah.
Practo.
Yeah,
Shashank and Abhinav are the founders of Practo. They were in NIT Surathkal 2007. They were studying. I think I gave the insight how they got into the entrepreneur part.
Yes, sir, it's a great opportunity, sir. Actually, I am also studying in NITK, sir. So,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Very good. You can check with your professor. I'm sure they have their names are listed in the board of the list of student entrepreneur illuminaries.
For sure.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So please share your email address in the chat box. And if any of our audience has any questions, seeks further information, please don't hesitate to reach out to him. Now, let's welcome Mr. Sagar, and I would request him to please commence his speech.
Super, thank you. Thank you for that. First of all, I must appreciate the SK Associates and Group for the opportunity. So thanks for that. And I must appreciate the first two sessions for Roy and Samuel for setting the stage so beautifully for the topics to come. I appreciate, Roy, that you mentioned about the audacious entrepreneur. Fantastic concept, and I am definitely going to quote this in my next sessions as well. So thanks for giving me that. That was really good. So I would take a slightly classical approach today. Go with a few slides just to take a few for a few holders there, and I would take up some situations with which is India specific, as Samuel mentioned about what do universities in India need to do, and that's the environment that I'm quite familiar with. So that's the overall topic that I will be presenting. I will just start my session in just a moment, please. And yeah, I hope you can see my screen as well. Can anybody just confirm if it's visible?
Yes, it is.
Excellent, thank you. All right, so I'm going to take a piece of entrepreneurship, which is classically known as project management, and that is what I would be presenting about. It's one of the keystones in cultivating entrepreneurial skills in university students. Universities within India typically do a lot of domain training, do a lot of theoretical training, and as Roy said, it's time to get out of the theory and get into practice as well. So to help universities get that, what is it that universities can do? That's what I'm going to talk about. One specific topic about project management. That's what we will be about. Well, as the introductions are done, so I'll skip this slide. This is what the overall flow of my topic is going to be. Um, so overall, as you can see, it's let's dive straight into the world of project management, and I promise it will be exciting. So what is project management in the realm of entrepreneurship? Imagine it is the art of herding cats. You can see in the slide, where cats are your ideas, resources, deadlines, all are running very wild. Project management is essentially about organizing the chaos that is very inherent in bringing great ideas to life. It's the backbone of taking what I would say a eureka moment from a back of the envelope sketch to something that is market ready. For all the entrepreneurial wizards there, it's think of it as something like your magic wand. It helps you to plan, it helps you to execute, to deliver projects, and not just any project, but successful ones. Something that will make the customers and the investors go, wow, that's what it does. Now, why are these skills crucial for success? Well, in the world of entrepreneurship, the road is filled with more twists and turns than what could be in a mystery novel. So, project management essentially equips you with a map and a compass that helps you navigate these roads. It's about knowing how to allocate resources, material resources, human resources as well. It's about meeting deadlines because time, as we know, waits for no one, not even the next revolutionary startup. So, in summary, project management in entrepreneurship isn't just about doing things right. It's about doing the right things at the right time with the right people. And maybe it's also about those keeping those cats in line. Yeah. So moving on, let's hop onto a time machine, take a quick tour. I promise I'll not bore you with the history part of it, with the years of it. But project management did not start with any fancy software. It's not the technology. I'm sure it did not even start with the pyramids. I'm sure the pharaohs wished they had something better though. than papyrus and hieroglyphs for their Gantt charts. Project management, the core of project management has been around ever since humans started executing complex tasks. Think about the Stonehenge that's there, or perhaps even organizing your family reunions with multiple relatives, each with their own whims and fancies. Yeah, it's about getting things done efficiently and effectively. But then let's fast forward to more recent times. It's in the 20th century, project management said, well, hello, formal methods. Given the rise of the large scale engineering and military projects, we saw quite structured approaches there, which are proved time and again, be it some Gantt charts or CPMs or PERTs and whatnot. So these were the game changers of project management. And how this all of this sizzle into the academia. Universities typically are slow to join the party. Eventually, they said, "Hey, this seems cool, and let us try to incorporate these into our curricula at a very basic level, if not something very sophisticated." Today, in some of the universities, as Samuel mentioned, project management isn't just some course that you take in to fill some credits, but it is a vital skill set. It's the secret sauce that would add that turns students' projects into potential startups, and therefore they are incubated later on as well. So typically, there you are. It's project management overall has helped shape the methods has helped shape quite a few of success stories as well. Yeah. So let's now connect the dots between project management and entrepreneurship. Imagine it as entrepreneurship as a wild horse. It's powerful, it's spirited, but a bit all over the place. So project management is the saddle or the reins that will help this guy a horse to guide towards the success. It's about strategic planning, organizing resources, steering clear of roadblocks as well. So project management, as we said, it's like the Swiss Army knife for entrepreneurs. They help you carve out clear goals, juggle tasks, and most importantly, not lose your mind when things get hectic, which in entrepreneurs is pretty much every day. So now let's talk about some real life wizards. You take any successful entrepreneur, and they have built all their journeys out of all of their journeys were based upon out of this world ideas, and they were meticulously managed as well. So that's the reason they were quite successful at doing things. Next up, let's have a look at the current state and the comparative evaluation of project management training in our universities.
खोल
It's
दे
pretty much like comparing smartphones with rotary phones. Well, both of them can make calls, but one definitely has much more bells and whistles there. So, in many leading universities, in quite a few leading universities within India, project management training has become just as common as coffee shops on campus corners. These institutions are churning out graduates who can juggle tasks, timelines, and often the team dynamics as well, just like a pro. They're not learning about just the theories from dusty textbooks, but also are getting their hands dirty, so to say, with real life projects, often collaborating with the industries. It's a practical, it's a hands-on approach that helps prepare students to take on the real world, where well deadlines are much bigger, they loom much larger than even the final exams, so to say. Now, let's contrast this with some of the known universities where project management or entrepreneurial skill set development is not a part of the curriculum. They are pretty much like teaching a chef to enter a kitchen to cook a gourmet meal, but finding no utensils. It's pretty much like cutting vegetables with a spoon, trying to cut it with a spoon. So, it's not that it's not possible, but it's very difficult and not really the ideal situation. So what's the takeaway here? The takeaway is to include these skill sets, these project management skill sets into university curriculum, not just as a nice to have, but as a must have. It is essentially what separates the ready for action graduates to somebody with what's the deadline? Those type of graduates. Yeah. So in short, project management training within the universities is like adding a GPS to your car. Without it, you might eventually get where you want to go, but with it, you are definitely being much more efficient. Yeah. What are the benefits that something like a project management brings to students? There are a variety of benefits that it does. We talked about it as a Swiss Army knife for the future career. First up, that's the organizational and planning skills. It turns something that is very chaotic into well-oiled machines. It's about not just about knowing your to dos like the back of your hand, whether it's for your class project or launching the next big startup. It think of it as learning to be the conductor of your own symphony. Everything is in harmony, nothing is out of tune. That's what the organizational and planning skills will bring about. The next up is just like the risk assessment part as well. Well, life pretty much like in project management loves throwing googlies or curveballs. Training students in foreseeing what are the risks, dodging them, giving is like giving them a kind of a crystal ball. It's not about predicting the future, but being prepared for it. Next up is about resource management and about optimization. That's what we talk about. Innovative thinking, problem solving, teamwork, and leadership skills. These are something that is a part of training of project management that should be involved in the curriculums as well. How do we do that? So first, let's talk strategies. Integrating project management isn't about shoehorning a one-size-fits-all course into every program. It's not about creating a separate kingdom for project management into universities, but about blending them into the existing landscapes. It's more like cooking. It add a pinch of this here, a dash of this, a dash of resource allocation there, and so on and so forth. So maybe for engineering students, it could be about managing technical projects. For marketing majors, it could be about planning campaigns, and so on and so forth. And that is where the cross-disciplinary approach, that's where things get really exciting. It's like a dance between different fields, be it arts, be it science, be it technology, be it business, all of them mixed together and to create this actual sauce, which is really tasty then. Yeah. In summary, integrating project management into training university programs is about creating new breed of graduates. These are the folks who can think critically, plan strategically, and execute as well flawlessly. So that's the advantage of integrating these into the university programs is about. What are the typical examples? We know quite a few examples that we've seen, and we have seen an example from Samuel as well about Tracto. That's something that we can talk about. So I'll skip this slide. What also plays a crucial alliance in all of this is the industry academia collaboration. It's like the partnership duo. It's something like a Batman and Robin kind of a partnership. Firstly, industry partnerships are a game changer in project management trainings. It's like a bridge connecting the theoretical islands of academia with the practical world of business as well. It's they bring real world challenges and expertise into the classroom. Imagine students not just learning about project timelines in theory, but seeing how these are managed in, say, like for example, it's a tech company or a marketing firm. It's about giving them a taste of real world where projects are not just graded, but do have real stakes, real budgets, and have real impacts as well. And that's something that internships. That's an experience that internship gives for all of these students as well. So that's something that I would advocate. Similarly, in the global space, it's not just about thinking locally, but also thinking globally. How does these prepare to prepare students to be on a global stage as well? It's about knowing what works where, what are the different cultural aspects that we need to talk about, and that's what this overall sensitization would help students as well. There are quite a few challenges that we still do have, and one of the first challenges is to address the gap that is there in the current educational model. It's like finding out that you have a GPS that you have, it works only in your city, but you're already halfway down in the forest, and that's where the real trouble starts. Yeah, so that's the gap that we need to bridge, and that's where I propose training on project management on practical aspects is what will bring in will help the students be will rather equip students with the Swiss Army knife that we talked about, and all kinds of tools, assortment of tools and techniques that are required to deal in the real world as well. Yeah. So with that, there are two things that I have to take away. One is it's imperative that the role of project management in fostering entrepreneurship, and I would also adopt and say advocate for project management training in academics as well. So that's what because it is in this day and age, it is frankly expected that we know about all of these, and we do talk about all of these to university students as well. So that was overall my conclusion. So overall, in conclusion, what I would say is we need to empower the ideas generated from the academic settings with the discipline of project management, and then watch them soar beyond imagination, because great ideas deserve great execution as well. So with I would thank you. Would want to share my slide for now. If there are questions, then I would be happy to take them as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sagar. I have a question for you. So I read somewhere that the project managers make the best CEOs. So do you have any thoughts on it, on this statement?
See, yeah. So see, the way I see it, project management can be one of the stepping stones to become a CEO. CEO is not just about project management. There are a lot of other things that they need to keep in mind as well. Think strategy, think bigger picture as well. So that's something that definitely that's my opinion on it. But it's definitely a stepping stone. That's true. Yeah.
Okay, all right. Do we have any more questions for Mr. Sagar? Anybody? Please write in the chat box or raise your hands. All right. Okay, no issues. I request you to please share your email address in the chat box. Okay. So if any of our audience has any questions or seeks further information, please don't hesitate to reach out to him. Now I request Ms. Raji to commence her speech.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everybody. And firstly, my apologies. My vibe and my energy is probably a lot lower than everyone else who spoke before me. It's about 1:45 in the morning or late at night, however you call it. So I'm from Melbourne, Australia. So I'm really excited to be here. Firstly, thanks to the SK Associates and Group for having me here. Join a panel of people. I think some great conversation in there. I really wanted to talk about one very niche area that we've been involved in with university. So everything that I'm talking about here comes from our journey on how we've built the business and how we've developed some IP and how we indulge in R&D practices with universities around the globe. So that's where a lot of my presentation comes from. But I can't not talk about entrepreneurship that was mentioned in the talks before. Roy, the audacious entrepreneur, I think I can't find another better word for that because often entrepreneurs are glorified. So if there was one thing that I want students to take away, there is no glorification in entrepreneurship. There's only guts. Really, the glorification of entrepreneurs comes from the fact that there's hard work, there's tenacity, and I can say that because that's what I've been through. So when I say that, it doesn't come from a body textbooks or a framework or a body of work that I read or white papers. It's been the crux of my journey personally. So the fact that I'm here at 1:45 in the morning means that that's what your life is going to be like. And please don't glorify yourself. And think about the entrepreneurs who've built unicorns and things like that. The motivation and the intent and why you want to become an entrepreneur is really important. The problem that you're trying to solve is really important, and the journey that you go in to actually get your product out there, make your product the glory of your very being is really important. A lot more important than getting caught up in the whole noise about who's the biggest unicorn at the moment and what did they do and how can I mirror that journey or how can I mirror that product? So in that sense, I can't mirror what Roy said enough on charting your own path, being your own person or being your own team, and focusing an absolute razor sharp focus on the product that you want and the problem that it solves, and how are you going to consistently be better in solving that problem for your customers again and again and again. So they'll keep coming back to you because there's no other option. There's no one else out there who'll do it like you. And listening to Samuel, I know we're very short of time, but I think there are all some great points, and I'd really like students and faculty to think through that. I am a cohort of the Stanford GSB, especially that specific course, the Entrepreneurship and Innovation. Whilst it was a great course, I think the crux of what I took away from that course was actually some very key frameworks for innovation that I use with our customer cohort. Really didn't shaped my entrepreneurial journey, but it gave me frameworks that I take to my customers, and that really works from a revenue perspective. It's a really great selling idea. But what really took me or blew me away with that Stanford is the ecosystem that it helped me build. The people and the networks that I can rely on when my back's against the wall, the kind of people that I can speak to, people who mentor me, people who tell me where to look for some of the needle in the haystack situation. And in entrepreneurship, it happens. You are looking for a needle in a haystack sometimes. And not everything has to be unique. Sometimes you have to go back to things that have already been done to help you through what's the correct solution for you in this particular situation. And from a practical perspective, I'd really like to read that use case and see what is it that happened in that university for those two people as individuals took that on board and actually kind of built that out, right? So it really did depend on those two individuals. What university does is it gives us ways to think, ways to learn, how we can do research, but what you do with it and how you challenge some of the things that you learn and then you see and you learn is really you as an individual as well. There are yet to be some individual frameworks that help you think differently, help you understand how you can question the status quo in a way. And in my presentation, I do have slides, and I am a little bit classical in that way as well, because it helps me think as I talk through, and hopefully has a storytelling around it as well as I walk through. And Mr. Sagar, when I was listening to you, an audacious entrepreneur is fantastic. Without a strong discipline of project management frameworks around them and people who actually follow that project management frameworks to take strategy and implement that vision in measured and monitored steps and manage steps and learn from it, an entrepreneur is no one. So time and time again, we rely on PMO frameworks. We build our own PMO frameworks as well. That what suits us, what suits our products, what suits our customers, and what suits our strategy. That's one thing. What traditional project management body of work teaches you is a way to think, or the fact that everything has a systemic framework approach, and you can take leaves out of different approaches to actually build your own framework as well. So yeah, kudos to that. Ideas are great, visions great, entrepreneurs are great, but I think you need a strong PMO team to back you up on anything that you want to experiment with and see how you've succeeded or failed. So I am going to share my screen. And give me one tick. Somebody do let me know if you can't see my slides.
It's visible now.
You can see my slides. So my name is Raji Iyer, by the way. I'm the co-founder and COO of an emerging technology company called Immersive Realities. We play in the XR and AI space for enterprises. So without talking technology, we help enterprises solve problems by using technology that's right for them and implementing it in a way that's right for them. And we've been backed by AWS and our DNA, and we come from a strong research and development background. We've been featured in a number of reports in Gartner, being a unique and a valuable product globally. But the space that we play in is very much an emerging market space. So we've been first to market in a lot of the spaces that we play in. That's had a huge amount of challenges as well. But today, I'm here to talk about some of the stuff that we've done in the R&D space with universities. One of the key things to think about while I'm walking through this is when we started working and when we started solving problems, and when we took a piece of technology and started working with customers, it required an extension of that technology to try and understand how do you extend this piece of technology to solve a specific problem, but also solve it consistently and efficiently enough so it's scalable, it's repeatable as well. So if you can imagine that. And we did this we started playing with VR in the 1990s as students in universities. My co-founder was working in the motion capture lab, and they were doing some really funky stuff in trying to do some performance arts and things like that. Arts always makes you think differently. And when we started looking at an enterprise product, that's what we needed. So what we needed was a way where we can try out different solutions very quickly, abandon those solutions if they're not solving the problem, and then take those that actually solve the problem very quickly to market, to test it out, and then commercialize it, right? And when we started looking at it, it's really impossible for us to build a whole capacity and a whole team just running multiple prototypes and experiments. And that's where the universities came into foray. So what does it mean for you as an entrepreneur? And what did it mean for me as an entrepreneur was education programs. So in education programs, we do send our team to traditional education programs within university, whether it's to learn technology, skill themselves up in specific project management or body or knowledge, or most importantly, entrepreneurship and innovation, try and get their head around frameworks and things like that. What did it do to me? I just spoke about my experience. It helps me, provides me an ecosystem and an access to people who can help me through situations. And it's a give and take situation. I've had people reach out to me when their back's against the wall, and we provide them help as well. So it really fosters. Universities help you curate an ecosystem around you, a circle around you that fosters a kind of a safety net that you almost crave for when you're an entrepreneur, right? Like you want to go back and have this set of people who will back you up, who will tell you when you're going wrong, so that you know that you have to stop what you're doing. And almost always you're doing things wrong, not because of the fact that you're wrong, it's because of the fact that you're trying to follow an existing process that's no longer relevant to you, right? So to challenge your assumptions as well, you need that. Incubators and accelerators, we've never been a part of any incubators or accelerators, but I constantly work with a few incubators and accelerators. Often it gives me and gives my team and the wider ecosystem things to think about. Some of the most amazing thought processes and people challenging the status quo comes from there. And when I go from my everyday job and working with customers, and sometimes when you work with larger enterprises, you kind of go down, you start to drink that Kool-Aid too about, the processes and the hierarchies that come with it. So when I go into these incubators and accelerators that are curated within universities, it's a creative space where you're just there. You're just listening to people who are challenging everything that you've just heard out in the enterprise for. So sometimes, and in Monash University here, I'm involved in their incubator and their activator as well. And when I go in there, the kind of ideas that I hear, the kind of processes that they build, and the kind of systems that they kind of rely back on just makes me go, wow, that's it. We got to stop what we're doing. Why don't we just not follow the process and do something else? Again, to Roy's point, the incubators and accelerators is a really great way of taking you and keeping your ideas fresh and helping you think through why are you doing the way that you're doing, why are you getting caught up in your everyday grind, and going back to the very crux of why your product exists. Technology transfers and commercialization, which is a little bit, I'll just talk a little bit about that in the next few slides. It's predominantly around how you build your IP fortress. And your IP fortress is really important, not because it's an IP fortress, because you're solving a very valuable problem for your customers and you need to protect it. And most importantly, it's not just about building IP, it's about how quickly can you take that to market, tease it up, shape it up, and make it the most valuable thing the customers can use. So what we have found in our experience is working together with universities, it gives us a really strong legal framework and guidance on how we can have IP fortresses built around the product that we've got. It also has helped us accelerate commercialization because we get to work with a wide, diverse group of people across multiple universities globally, and one body of research is always challenging another body of research. One prototype is always challenging another prototype. But the time to market, to take these prototypes, we couldn't have those teams in-house to actually do this. So that's where universities play a strong role in. And the way it works is we go with what the problem the market's been telling us, and we don't give them a solution. So we work with certain research teams to understand what is the whole bevy of solution that's there. We don't follow the university provided research frameworks. We just have a problem and we need to solve it. And that's pretty much it. And do whatever you want to solve the problem. Support services, obviously, we just spoke about legal frameworks that they provide. Sometimes, more than anything else, they also provide a really, really good cohort for funding as well, which we will kind of touch in the next few slides. Cultural and mindset shifts. Much like my talk about the incubators and accelerators that I've been working with, the fact that today people are talking about failing is not failing, it's learning, and you fail fast and you learn fast. I think that's a significant cultural and mindset shifts that I'm kind of feeling in the ground compared to where I started off as an entrepreneur, right? Like about 20, 22 years ago, our first ever startup was a services business, and it wasn't even called a startup then. It was like you started a business and you went into business, and people looked at you questionably as to why would you not go to a proper day job and earn money and build yourself a portfolio of assets, and why are you wasting your time doing this, right? That's what the thinking was. But now there is this glory and glamour around being an entrepreneur, which is fantastic because it gives you the impetus to keep doing new things. But also, there is an acceptance in a lot of the university space that we're working in around the fact that we're going to fail, and failing is learning, and the faster you learn, the better it is. So take those risks. Get your product out there. Get those first few users. Get them to tell you what's wrong, because if you don't know what's wrong, you're never going to succeed. You don't want to glorify your own product and keep talking about it. You want users to thrash it down. And sometimes strong research and development, strong prototyping, and strong experimenting doesn't mean you have a strong product, unless it solves the problem, not just significantly, but also the experience of customers and users is amazing. So that's not just strong IP, but it's also the customer experience that matters, right? And you won't know that until you've gotten the product out. So that's one thing that I feel, and we've learned time and time again from our work with the university. What happens in the university sphere is great. It gives you amazing stuff, but you really need to take it out to the users. You really need to be vulnerable and put yourself and your product out there. Community engagement and economic development, I think that's entrepreneurs are the pillars of that, especially at times of downturn, providing employment and providing more innovative ways to solve problems. I've never worked in the sustainability space, and I'm currently working with a group of people who are building energy-related products, and it blows my mind. Absolutely blows my mind. It makes my work so insignificant and so immaterial when we talk about AI and things like that, where people are talking about how do you solve the battery life cycle problem, and how do we get wind farms and the communities to come together so there'll be more wind farms and things like that. So those are some of the things that I wouldn't have had an opportunity without being a part of a larger university group, a larger activator and an incubator and accelerator group, right? So new things that you learn about and new ways of thinking that I bring back to my own business as an entrepreneur. So just because you're not working in one industry vertical is not an excuse not to know about it. There is a common body of knowledge that, nature gives you all the solution that you need for some of your problems. So there's you mimic some of the concepts of how birds fly and things like that. You find solutions and you kind of map that through. You find and work with other entrepreneurs, people with other ideas, people who are trying to build businesses from scratch. And you get the most amazing time to break through from your everyday grind, because being an entrepreneur doesn't give you an everyday grind. It's not all about, having flexibility of your time and working from beaches and things like that. It definitely is not that. It really gives you the way that you can interact with a wide cohort of a global community of people, and that's what universities have kind of given us the platform for. Global perspectives and collaboration, we just spoke about it. So what are some of the ways that we've been able to build some IP within the business with the university forum, right? So we've got an office in India, and we're based out of the IITM Research Park. One of the things that has been really good for us is they have an open innovation platform. So you have access to any research that's being done in IIT, and IIT being an Ivy League, that is quite a big opportunity for startups in that space. The Research Park incubates quite a number of startups, although we weren't a part of the incubator. They have AgTech, they have Energy Tech. And so you have access to a wide body of knowledge. So you can look through, and it's really your own discipline and your own mindset that's stopping you from accessing other people's thoughts and research to try and work out how it's going to solve your problem. So the open innovation platforms that universities have, and some universities do it well and really well, is a really great way for you to look through and understand, has anyone solved this problem before? How is this particular problem being solved in a different industry vertical, and how can I read through that? One of the key things about R&D research in general is it's not about the a technical research. It's not about just technology. It's not about product. It's not about medicine. It's not just about those. A lot of our research has been around behavioral science, psychology, and how users react to new technology. How do they adopt it? How does a user wear a pair of VR glasses, and how long does it take for them to kind of feel comfortable in it? What do you need, and how long can you actually productively work using a tablet in a field service sense? So those are some of the kind of research that we want access to make our products better, to make our products work well for our customers, and also work with our customers and helping them through the adoption journey, right? So thinking through alternate body of knowledge and using these open innovation platforms has been quite valuable for us. The industry academia partnerships, working together with lecturers, whether be it IITM or be it Monash and Deakin here, or be it universities in Germany, we get access to some very bleeding edge design work, because visual design is a lot of what we do, and we need to think through what does visual design mean in immersive tech, how would users react to it, what do their eyes see, how do they behave, and a lot of the body of work comes from academia, because there's a very strong universities tend to have a very strong arts capability, and we can't underestimate the impact of arts on how we interact with technology, and especially visual technology these days. So that's been a very great outcome for us. Research grants, then you know.
Excuse me, Ms. Ayyar, I would actually appreciate it if you could wrap it up.
Sure. I'll just
Sure.
be a minute, if that's
Sure,
right.
sure, sure.
Research grants are very important when you know you have to solve a problem. You just don't have enough funding for it. Your investors aren't going to back that problem. Universities are a great way to do that. They have a whole repository of research grants. Joint research centers and innovation labs. So what you're seeing there is the makerspace in Monash. We get to go there and work with them. So we take some of our solutions and showcase it there. We look at what the students are doing there, and we try and collaborate and find out what is the best solution for a particular problem that we've got. Always looking for solving problems. I know we don't have much time, but if there's one thing about building IP and accelerating your commercialization, IP is only valuable if it's driven by the market and the problem that you're solving. But the key thing about IP is you need to constantly keep on working on it, defining it, and protecting it. So it's not about doing your patents once. It's not about doing your patent search once. It's about everything that you do need to be adding to your IP portfolio. So every year you need to have an IP strategy, and it's very much like any other strategy in your business. You need to work through what is it that you're going to test, what is it that you're going to experiment, has it been done anywhere else before, how am I going to secure a patent, and it's an ongoing body of work that you need to keep doing. That's how you build your IP fortress. And your IP fortress is really important for differentiation that Roy was talking about. If you want to be different, if you want to be doing different things and you want to be unique, you need that IP fortress. And it's also something that you're building value in your business. So if you are looking at selling your business, the valuation of your business also depends largely on the IP and what kind of fortresses that you build through that. I'm not going to go deep into it, but the crux of it is focus on your customers, build strong IP, secure your IP so you can commercialize it. It's not just about making revenue through that IP, it's also about building value in your business through that IP. And universities, in our experience and what we worked with, if you ask for it and if you seek it, they are now a large cohort of the good universities globally are flexible enough to actually offer what you need. Training versus gameplay, this is a very, very key thing. I'm happy to share that. I'll put my email address in there. What you learn in training is not what happens in the gameplay. So be ready for your gameplay. And to do that, universities are also good because they lean on to what they've got to offer, demand what you want out of them. If there is something that they're telling you that you're not happy with, as a student, seek out to lecturers who can take you to the next level. Seek out to industry organizations within those universities who can help you through that. They are there. In our experience, they are there. You need to seek, you need to ask, and you will get there as an entrepreneur. Sorry about going so much over time. I got a little bit too excited because this is something that we really enjoy doing, working with universities. So yeah, thanks everybody. It's nice to be here, and I'll drop my email if anybody wants to connect. I don't think we have time for questions, so I'll leave it up there.
No issues. And that was a great speech, Rajit, especially the last part where you elaborated the AI part and the Industry Academia partnership. That was quite notable too. Please do share your email ID in the chat box so that if any of our audience has any questions, seeks further input, they can just reach out to me. So as we conclude tonight's session, we want to extend our heartfelt gratitude to all our esteemed panelists and guest speakers for your invaluable contributions to the first session of Conference 3.0. Your expertise and insights have added immense value to this event. Our sincere appreciation also goes out to each and every attendee for their active participation. We value your presence and engagement, and we are excited to continue this conference tomorrow with the second session from 7 p.m. IST to 8:30 p.m. IST, same time. We look forward to seeing you all there. Till then, feel free to share your conference experiences by leaving a review on our location on Google Maps by simply Googling us out. We also encourage you to extend the invitation to your friends, colleagues, and your cousins and your family to join the conference with us tomorrow and furthermore. Share the conference links with them, and if you're having or sharing an experience on LinkedIn, do not forget to tag us for sure. Your engagement, inviting friends, and sharing your insights are highly appreciated. Do also follow us on all our social media handles. We are present on Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. Thank you once again for being a part of this event. Goodbye and have a great day.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.